You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hey guys, welcome into the Outspoken Sportscast. Here, this is your host Brian, and I am on the Overtime Talk here on Tuesday, the NFL Week 17 recap. As you can tell, I'm excited to be on here today and go over this. We had some really good games. We had different. The playoffs have switched once again. The playoff seedings have switched once again. That makes this playoff push for the end of the season really entertaining, guys. I know you guys have been enjoying it as well as I have. All right, guys, let's break it down. The Packers locked down the number one seed in the NFL. We'll get to that in a little bit here as well. I'm super excited about that. First, let's take you to the Bills beating the Falcons. The Bills played a snowy game at home. Falcons put up more of a fight than I expected them to. They lost 29-15. The Bills have officially clinched the playoff spot with this win, and the Falcons have officially been eliminated with losing. We didn't expect the Falcons to make the playoffs. No biggie, no or whatever. Bills put up 29. Not that great. It was a snow game, so they're not going to. Usually when you play in the snow, you're not going to be scoring 40 points or whatever. The Atlanta Falcons have come on as of late at the end of the season and been a better team than they showed to be in the beginning of the year. But I expected the Buffalo to win this game, and they did. This week's picks, I was 10-5. I picked the Bills to win this game. They did win it pretty good on this week. I need to be more regular on sharing you my picks and how I do during the week. The Bears take down the Giants 29-3. This is another boring. This one was just a boring game. You already knew who was going to win. There's no way the Giants are going to win. They are abysmal. They are abysmal. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're a poorly ran organization. They, are lethargic on offense. Saquon Barkley is getting wasted. Maybe he's not the back we thought he was going to be, but he's not good. And the Giants you've got to figure out what you're going to do with Daniel Jones. Are you going to keep the head coach, which they probably will? Thank you, baby. And the Giants are pathetic. Sorry, guys. I always forget a cup of water when I'm doing the show. And if I forget a cup of water with only me talking here, it's dry voice and itchy, scratchy throat. So I always ask my wife to bring me one. Anywho, the Bears are bad. The Giants are bad. We'll see what happens. The biggest question surrounding these two teams is, what are they going to do in the offseason? When will Matt Nagy be fired? Are they going to keep their GM? I heard rumors they're actually going to keep Pace there in Chicago and just get rid of Nagy. The Giants have a lot of questions, but I think the Giants don't want to turn over coaches so often, so they're willing to keep a bad coach, which is good for the Dallas Cowboys and everyone else in that division because they're going to be awful for a long time coming, and Daniel Jones is not your answer. This was the game I was looking forward to, and I watched every bit of it and loved it. The Chiefs and the Bengals. I was wrong on this prediction. I picked the Chiefs to win. Who wouldn't, right? The Chiefs had come in and won 8 straight games. They're the number 1 seed at the when the game started in the AFC. There, the Bengals bring it. The Chiefs went up and scored 14 points the first 2 quarters, and it was 28-17. I was thinking, here comes a blowout. Well, we might need to change the channel here. Well, I kept it on. I'm glad I did. Jamar Chase had himself a day. My goodness. Jamar Chase had 11 catches, 266 yards, and 3 touchdown catches. What a beast. Joe Burrow threw for 446 yards, 4 touchdowns. Again, last week he threw for over 500 yards. This week he's throwing for 400 against a good Kansas City defense. So you can't say this is a bad team. They did it. They stepped up when they needed to. They shut Mahomes down in the Kansas City offense in the second half. They only put up 3 points in the second half. The Bengals get the job done. They clinched the AFC North. And look, I like Joe Burrow. I really do. I thought about even buying one of his jerseys because I like him so much. And I like to root for the Bengals when the Packers aren't on, because of him. But forgot what I was gonna say. Where was I going with that? The Bengals are going to be interesting. Are they going to be upset? Are they going to upset some people? Maybe. Now, back to my original thought that clicked in my head there. I didn't have the balls enough to pick the Bengals to win the division in the beginning. I wasn't a big believer in the Ravens. I still ain't. I wasn't a big believer. Well, I did project the Browns to win the division. They have let me down. I wanted to go with the Bengals, but I was like, nah, it's second year Joe Burrow coming off the knee injury. They do win the division, and I'm hoping this team can upset some people in the playoffs. I'm really hoping that they go on a run there. That would be awesome to see. Titans take care of business and prove me wrong. I projected that the Dolphins will win this game. The Dolphins were on a hot streak. Tennessee, I don't trust. Well, they blew them out of the water 34-3. The Dolphins are coughing for air. Titans clinch second straight AFC South. With this win, they move up into the number 1 spot and knock down the Kansas City Chiefs. The Dolphins are still fighting for a playoff spot, I believe. Nope, my bad. They have officially been eliminated with that loss. Things did not fall their way. They were trying to be the first team to go 1-7 and then make the playoffs. They fell a little short there. The Raiders and Colts, another game I was wrong on. The Raiders won, and they won 23-20. It was a close game, and they kept it close. The Raiders put up 10 points in the fourth quarter to really kind of put it away there. They scored late. And let's see what Carr put up. Carr put up 255 yards, two interceptions, not very good. Wentz only had 148 yards. Jonathan Taylor with another 100-yard carry. Not a very interesting game. The Colts are a good team, but they're not interesting to watch, right? They play good defense. They run the ball a lot and hope that Carson Wentz doesn't turn over the football. And they're not asking Carson Wentz to do a lot there. They're just asking him to be a bus driver. And he's been decent at that at some times this year. He's been bad at that sometimes this year. So this game is one they're going to want back. They should have won that game. They should have won the game, and they let one slip. The Raiders are fighting for the playoff spot still, and the Colts as well. Patriots put up a 50-burger, 50-10. Whew, they scored 21 points in the second quarter alone. They're obviously going to be in the playoffs. Boring game. Jets almost upset the Bucs. I was hoping it happened. but it did not. Due to the Jets they let up 11 points in the fourth quarter and didn't score any in the fourth quarter, and that's gonna be the difference there. Um, we saw what happened with Antonio Brown. We'll get into that on a different episode. I don't really want to break into an Antonio Brown um, segment right here. He did walk out, and we don't know really what's going on with him or what's going on with the team. He did walk out middle of the game, threw his jersey and shoulder pads in the stands, and said peace. He's no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and I don't think he'll be playing football anywhere else. Eagles take care of business 20-16 and another sloppy, bad game to watch. Eagles beat Washington, and they are into the playoffs. They clinched the playoff spot with their winning and the Packers winning as well. I was flipping back and forth the Rams and Ravens game that was on. The Rams sneak away 20-19, and they didn't play really well in this game. They put up 13 points in the fourth quarter to rally back and win. The Ravens had this game, and they let one slip. This was a do-or-die game for the Baltimore Ravens, and they let one slip. They had a chance to help their playoff spot, and they didn't. They're on the bubble right now. I don't think they're going to make it in. Lamar Jackson did not play this game. It was Huntley, and he looked decent. But the Rams drove down the field. Odell Beckham made a fourth down catch, which if he didn't catch it, the game would have been over. He caught the ball. Then he caught the go-ahead touchdown, and the Rams win late. Now, Matthew Stafford did impress me in this game, and they may be winning a couple games, but I don't think if Matthew Stafford, is going to keep turning over the football the way he has been in the playoffs against a good playoff team, it's not going to bode well for you. So we'll see what happens. It was a pretty good game, though, a pretty back and forth. And just the Ravens offense struggled in the second half. And, if Lamar Jackson was there, they might win that game. And that's the tough part with this team is I think the Ravens are the most injured team in the NFL, even from training camp going forward. And Lamar did not look good during practice, so they didn't let him play. And we'll see if he plays this week. I don't know. Maybe they save him. Maybe they don't. But it could be do or die for the Ravens. I don't think they control their destiny going into the playoffs. Chargers handle business 34-13 over the Denver Broncos as they bounce back. They got back on track and won this game easily. We knew where they were going to win. The Chargers are still looking for a playoff spot, and Denver Broncos have been eliminated. So we'll see. The interesting thing about Denver is going forward into the offseason and figure out who their head coach is going to be. Is Vic Fangio going to be fired or not? Is Peyton Manning going to buy the Denver Broncos? And who's going to be the quarterback next year? Are they going to go all in on trying and pull Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay? Maybe Russell Wilson gives them a look. I don't know, but interesting team to go to. 49ers proved me wrong in this one. I picked the Houston Texans to win. Houston just beat the Chargers the week before. You playing Trey Lance, who had 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Not too bad. Did better than Mills. They relied heavily on the rushing attack to go help Trey Lance, which we knew they would. He had Mitchell had 119 yards on the ground, and Houston, they're so up and down. When they're a bad football team, and sometimes they come out and play, sometimes they don't. They both scored 0 points in the first quarter, and then San Francisco was down 7-3 at half, but they put up 13 in the fourth quarter alone to win this game. And we've seen a lot of these teams putting a lot of points up in the fourth quarter. That's letting them win. So something to watch out for there. 49ers are in the playoffs. No, they're in the hunt. My bad. I thought they were going to make it. I think they will make it. But all right, guys, you already know if you've listened to this podcast before, this is the game that Jeff, especially, and I have circled on the calendar for the Dallas Cowboys when they play the Arizona Cardinals because they've been beating a lot of easy teams. And we circled this matchup because this is a game with 2 teams this year who is supposed to or who have been really good. Cardinals have been good. They've been the number one spot for a while. The Dallas Cowboys have been good, and to see where they go. Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdowns, 226 yards. Kyle Murray didn't play that much better. He had 2 touchdowns, 263 yards. Cowboys did not rush the ball at all against this team. They only had 45 yards total between Pollard and Elliott. Dak was your leading rusher. That's when you know you did not run the ball very well. They gave up 127 rushing yards. This team, it brings the question, and this is a question that me and Jeff will talk about when we do our podcast this week on Friday night. Should the Cowboy fans be worried? I think it's a question if you're a realistic Cowboy fan, you got to be asking yourself. We've been beaten up on easy teams. Okay, cool. We played a good team that's going to be in the playoffs, and they looked abysmal. This is at home as well. They looked abysmal. They put up 15 points in the fourth quarter to keep it close. They ended up losing 25-22. They looked bad. Go back and watch the game if you don't believe me. They couldn't rush the ball. Dak Prescott was throwing error passes. He threw a play earlier. Should have been a pick six. The guy dropped the ball. They looked pathetic. That's one. They looked pathetic through 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, they actually turned it on, and it wasn't enough. And you cannot do that against a good team and expect to win. And I don't want to hear about no refs. I don't want to hear no excuses. So that will be talked about more on Friday with Jeff. I guarantee you that he's going to want to discuss and dissect that game. But Cowboys lose that one, and that they fell in the playoff pictures. We'll get into that in a little bit here. Saints take care of business, 18-10 over the Panthers. I predicted them to win. I actually predicted the Cowboys to win, and they let me down there. But I needed them to lose, so I'm glad they did. Seahawks blow out the Lions, 51-29. Packers lock up the number 1 seed with a 37-10 victory over the Vikings. The Vikings did have a backup quarterback. I'm not going to go, hey, we handled business. We got the job done, and we locked up the number 1 seed. Aaron Rodgers did say he will be playing next week with the starters. I agree with that because I don't want them to have 2 weeks off because we got the bye week. I don't want them to have 2 weeks off. And that would be pretty bad, I think, if we had 2 weeks off to go in and not show up for a game because you're so well rested and just kind of haven't played football in a little bit. So, as I predicted, I picked the Steelers to win against the Browns because this will be Big Ben's last game at Heinz Field. Again, they scored 13 points in the fourth quarter to put this game in the bag, and the Browns have been abysmal this year. Let's look at the playoff picture here. Okay. We've had a lot of movement in both AFC and NFC. So let's jump into the AFC real quick. The Titans move up to the first round spot with an 11-5 record. They clinch the division. They're not number 1 yet. They are not number 1. They've not clinched the number 1 yet. Chiefs fall down to number 2 because they lost. The Bengals move up to number 3, and the Bills are number 4. Those are your top 4 right now. Patriots sitting at 5. They've already clinched. And in the hunt right now is the Chargers and the Colts. And the Chargers play never mind. That was last week. In the hunt are on the bubble, you got the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Raiders. I think if the Raiders win next week, it'll put them in the playoffs because I believe if they won 2, they will put them in automatically. They beat the Colts this week. A big win for them. The teams that have been eliminated, there's 14 teams eliminated. So there's still quite a bit of teams in playoff contention. In the NFC, the Packers, like I said, clinched the number 1 spot. And the Rams are now number 2. The Bucks fall to number 3. The Bucks move up to number 3. The Cowboys fall from 2 to 4. And then it remains the Eagles and remains the Cardinals. And then the Eagles locked up the number 7 seed. And in the hunt right now is the 49ers. And then on the bubble is the Saints. So I think pretty much the 49ers will take up the number 6 seed, and we'll get your playoff berth next week. So we have plenty of movement there. Plenty of movement. So Friday's episode, we are going to talk a little bit about everything. Antonio Brown. We got the Dallas Cowboys loss. Packers locking up their number 1 seed. We'll talk about all that with Jeff and head into the last week of the NFL, week 18. So talk about what's in our locker, and we'll talk about all the things that happened this week. We got to talk about John Madden passing away. We got to talk about Betty White as well, and everything in between. I hope you guys, New Year's, we're going to talk about New Year's. It's what's in our locker segment at the end of each week. We talk about what we've kind of focused on that week and what we did. And that's going to be it for the recap of the week. I'm looking forward to having a buddy of mine on named Ryan. He knows a lot about sports, and having a playoff discussion with him sometime in extra episode. So we'll have to sit down and figure out a schedule to work that in. But hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope you guys have made those New Year goals like we set up last week, as I challenge you guys to set some New Year's goals for New Year's and your resolutions and all that good stuff, and try and follow them. I've been eating healthier. I've been taking carrots, and I've been taking literally carrots and celery and some lunch meat and some cheese to work every day. That's my lunch. I haven't been buying taquitos, a QT, or anything like that, or any McDonald's. But so I've been eating healthier. I've been eating salads when I get home. Dinner time is kind of whatever. We eat whatever we make. Excuse me. Sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes it's not. Like tonight. Well, tonight we're getting taco casas, so I gotta go shopping tomorrow. Anywho, that is your week NFL 17 update. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please click like, share, subscribe. We talk about everything in between, but we talk about sports, the NFL right now, and then when NFL's over, we'll have to jump into the NBA, get into that and the MLB and stuff like that. But look forward to episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Take care, guys, and God bless.